If you are willing to build a PC yourself, that's great news because you will be able to get a really good price to performance system for gaming. And right now you can get them at a really discounted price because of Amazon Prime Day 2 and also Newegg's fantastic sale. You can get, for example, a $650 PC that will be able to run 1440p resolution with no issues, or an $850 system that will be able to run games at 4K resolution, which is insane for the price. So on this video you will have a system for every budget and every resolution, and I will also explain what each of these PCs are capable of running. That way, if you want to buy one of these, you know what you can expect out of them in terms of performance. You will have the links to all of these PCs and bonus systems as well for different budgets in the video description. With that being said, let's start. With the first PC we have the $650 1080p/1440p PC build. It has the AMD Ryzen 5 5600X for the CPU, which is going for the same price as the Ryzen 5 5600, so the X version is slightly faster and that's why I went with that one. Then for the graphics card you get the RTX 3060 White version, and this is also the 12GB version, so it's capable of 1440p gaming as well, but I would recommend it for 1080p high to ultra settings depending on the game. But of course, if you want to play at 1440p, you will be able to play 60+ FPS on average on most titles, depending on the settings. Then for the memory kit, you get 16GB of DDR4 memory, a 1TB Gen 4 SSD that's going for $35, and honestly, this one is amazing in terms of speeds. A 600W 80+ gold power supply, which is going to be plenty of power for this particular system. And then you get the Bitfinex Nova Mesh Micro ATX Mini Tower Case white version, so this whole PC has a white aesthetic and it looks amazing. The total price for this PC when I'm recording this video is $670. And if you have less money than this, don't worry about it, because in the description you will also have bonus systems for different budgets that are not mentioned in this video. For around $80 more, you can get the same exact system, but you get the RX 6700 XT instead of the RTX 3060. The RX 6700 XT is about 30% faster than the RTX 3060, and on the latest test from TechSpot, on a 15-game average at 1080p, the 6700 XT was able to average 100+ FPS. Now you have to remember that this 15-game average was made with all type of games, so if you want to play the easier to run games like Fortnite or Valorant, then you will be able to average 200+ FPS depending on the settings, so you can take advantage of a high refresh rate 1080p or 1440p monitor. So overall, $750 is an amazing price for this level of performance. The rest of the components are the same, but you get a black case instead of a white one to match the GPU, and you also get an aftermarket CPU cooler for the Ryzen 5 5600X. That way you keep the noise levels down and also the temps. For 100 more, you get the same exact system, but you get the RX 6800 instead of the 6700 XT, and you also get 32GB of RAM instead of 16GB, which is going to be helpful if you do multitasking or streaming. In terms of performance, the 6800 is about 25% faster than the 6700 XT, and it has 16GB of VRAM instead of 12, so it's also 4K capable. On that same 15-game average I've mentioned before at 1440p, the 6800 was able to average 93 FPS, so I would highly recommend it for 1440p high FPS gaming on high to ultra settings, or if you want you can play at 4K depending on the game and depending on the settings. But for the most part you will be able to get a 60+ FPS on average experience in most titles at 4K resolution. After that we have a more expensive system. In the $1050 PC build, you get the Ryzen 5 7600, which makes it better for the future if you want to upgrade the CPU down the line because it's a newer platform. Then you get 16GB of DDR5 memory instead of DDR4, and for the GPU you get the RX 7800 XT, which is by far the best GPU I've mentioned so far. The 7800 XT on that same test, it was able to average 108 FPS, so this is a 1440p ultra GPU that can also run 4K resolution because of those 16GB of VRAM. At this price point, you can also consider the RTX 4070, which is slightly worse in terms of rasterized performance, but it has a better level of ray tracing. You have DLSS 3, and there are some applications that run better on Nvidia. However, if you are planning on playing at 1440p and then upgrading to 4K, I think the 7800 XT is the better option, not only because it's cheaper and it has better rasterized performance, but also because you get more VRAM, which is helpful down the line, especially at higher resolutions. Another thing that you get on this system is a 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply in the Thermaltake Tough Power GFA3. This one is an amazing unit and is on a $25 discount because of the Newegg Fantastic sale. The total price for this system is $1,050, and honestly this is an amazing PC for 1440p ultra settings or 4K 60 plus FPS on average. With the next one we have another big jump. You get the AMD Ryzen 7 7700 instead of the Ryzen 5 7600. You get 32 gigs of DDR5 memory instead of 16 gigs. You get a more premium motherboard as well with better features, and the most important difference, you get the RX 7900 XT instead of the RX 7800 XT. This GPU is about 30% faster than the 7800 XT and is a 1440p maxed out gaming GPU, and on that same test I've mentioned before, it was able to average 140 FPS, so about 32 FPS faster on average than the RX 7800 XT. And then at 4K it was able to average 82 FPS, so we can safely say that this is a 1440p maxed out GPU but also a 4K high to ultra settings GPU as well, and you get 20 gigs of VRAM, which is plenty even at 4K resolution. So if you want a system that's more future proof for 1440p and 4K resolution, then I think this one is the one to go with if you do not want to spend anything more than $1,500. And because you get the Ryzen 7 7700 instead of the 7600 in terms of CPU demanding titles like Fortnite, Valorant and CSGO, you will be achieving much higher FPS, therefore you can buy a really high refresh rate 1440p monitor. Another component I've changed is the case. I went with the Fantex Eclipse E400A because it's on a nice discount and I love this case. It comes with 3 pre-installed fans. I also added one more for the exhaust one. Don't worry, you will have all the guide in the description, but I think it looks amazing. It has really good airflow and it's going to get the job done even on the high end level. Then with the best one we have the under $2,000 PC build. To be exact, this one is $1,931 and it has the Ryzen 7 7800 X3D, which is the fastest CPU on the market, and then you get the RX 7900 XTX, which is the second fastest GPU on the market. The 7900 XTX on a 16 game average was able to achieve 181 FPS on average and 113 FPS on average at 4K resolution, right below the RTX 4090. I highly recommend this system for 4K resolution. You can use it for 1440p as well. I just think that it's an overkill and you can save a ton of money if you want to do 1440p gaming, but for 4K this PC is going to be all that you need. Most people do not need the RTX 4090 and most people do not need anything better than this. Remember, you also get the Ryzen 7 7800 X3D, which is the fastest CPU on the market, so if you play high demanding CPU titles even at 4K resolution, you will be achieving really high FPS and you will never notice such FPS because the highest refresh rate monitor will never be able to display the amount of FPS that you get with this CPU. Then for the rest of the components, you get a 240 CPU liquid cooler, so really good cooler, which is a really nice cooling system for our Ryzen 7. Then for the motherboard, you get a more premium motherboard once again with Wi-Fi included and a lot of connectivity and good audio as well. Then you get 32 gigs of RAM once again. You get 2 TB of Gen 4 SSD instead of 1 TB. Then for the case, you get the Fractal Design Pop Air ATX mid-tower case. I think this one is absolutely amazing, great airflow and really good quality, which is important. And then for the power supply, you get the Enermax Revolution 1050 watt 80 plus gold power supply. This one is an A-tier rated unit, meaning that it's the best quality out there and will not risk your system. By the way, while recording this video, this PC got even cheaper and it's $1,900. So Amazon Prime Day and Newegg Fantastic Sale 2 had amazing PC build deals, and I highly recommend you getting a PC build right now if you're thinking of buying one. And if you have more than $1,900, maybe you want the best of the best, you want the RTX 4090 or maybe you want the i9 13900K because you're a content creator, don't worry. As I said before, you will have bonus PCs in the description and you will have PCs that are more expensive than $1,900 but also PCs that are cheaper than $600. And if you do not want to go through the process of building it yourself, I would completely understand. That's why I made a whole video on the best Amazon Prime Day Prebuilt Gaming PC deals. You will have that one in the top right of the screen. And if you got to this point of the video, comment Shadow I'm a real one. That way I know that you're a real one and you watched the whole video. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.